Hi, hello, my name's Ollie. I enjoy looking at queer fiction and creating little images about it, and I also do little reviews and little bits of vlogging about what I've been up to. And currently I am in this room, which is a hotel room down in London. Today I am going to be doing the new YouTuber 2.0 tag, and that's because Booky Lorra tagged me in her video, and it's the first tag that I've received, and I was very honoured and felt like, well, I better frickin' do it. I've not responded directly to somebody else's tag, because as far as I'm aware, no one has tagged me, and if you are someone who has tagged me and I haven't watched your video, I'm sorry, but if you do tag me in future, write me a tweet or something to let me know that you're tagging me. But otherwise, this is my first tagging scenario, so I'm fully embracing it. I checked out the original video, which is by Michael S. Deutsch, and his stuff seems really interesting. I'm totally going to check out more of his content, because I was quite like, oh, you're cool, and I love his hair. And his facial hair, which has a lot going on, but he seemed like just a kind of cool guy, and I encourage everybody to check out Booky Lorra, because her content's really great too. Okay, anyway, I better start doing some of these questions. What genre would you like to see talked about more on BookTube? Stuff that I'm interested in is around kind of mental health or personal experiences which happen to people where they turn them into novels. I think those are just more interesting because they're so real and so true to what people's experiences and what happened to them, and I like seeing how those resonate with people and how they go, that could be me, I feel those things, and they relate it to themselves in that way, and you get that dialogue, and you see how connected people can be through stories, and I find that really exciting. What I'd like to see more kind of insight to how the book reaches and touches you as an individual person, and how you then kind of put that back out into the world and say, read this book because I felt this way, or I know what this part is like. Because when you give a book over to someone, you kind of are encouraging to gain an insight into yourself, or at least that's what I kind of feel like when a book really, really grabs you. I mean, other times it's a really exciting ride, and that's great, but there are those times, those personal journeys where you're like, that was me. So 2, what do you feel is the best ways to make friends on BookTube? So I think like all the basic stuff of commenting on people's videos is really important, and not just doing it kind of one-off and then expecting them to be your best friend and subscribing to your channel. Like, actually demonstrate that you are really interested in person. I don't think it's kind of cool to advertise yourself in somebody else's comment and go, ah, I do this, check me out, unless it's really relevant to the content that you've created. Like, if you've done the same video and you want to kind of share and bond on that way, I think that's okay. I think that's quite interesting. Makes you want to see their response to some of the questions or the books. That would make me like go, oh, okay, I'll check you out. But I think it's just about being genuinely interested in them as people, and also checking out some of the content creators that they reference and talk about. Just kind of get involved and like take part. What will or do you enjoy most about making BookTube videos? I really enjoy the after part, when it's actually uploaded and people start kind of telling you their responses to if they've read the same book, or if they want to introduce you to something else because it sparks something from what you've said. That type of actual meaningful discussion is like, that's a real like driver to continue making new content, because I've had like friends who enjoy reading a bit, but it's really, really nice to be a part of a community when people totally love reading all the time and just want to continue doing it, and you get geeky freakouts about shared interests, and I just think that's cool. Everything else is like a ball ache. Takes forever to do. What videos other than tags, TBRs, wrap-ups, reviews and recommendations do you want to see more of? I really enjoy seeing collaborations. I love those videos. I also love seeing content which is actually about a wider part of people's lives. So when they're not just talking about the books, when you actually get the little insights to what's happening in their personal life. I just really enjoy having that kind of one-to-one time with the YouTuber, and when you actually see more about their wider life, it makes you kind of feel like you're building a greater bond with them. And I don't think that's like a false thing. I think that they are giving you a curated part of their life. It makes you feel like you're really a part of a different type of friendship group. I mean, it may be a bit more transient, or it might be kind of fleeting, or it might just happen sporadically, but like it's still there and it's present, and it's about shared interests. And I find that like the more exciting part of BookTube. I also like it when they kind of kick off on debates, where they want to try and find out what other people think, and it opens up that kind of wider debate about the discussions that they're trying to have through the narratives in the stories that writers are creating. I think those type of things are also really important. I like that kind of form of softer activism that is generated through the novels that are created. I find that stuff really interesting too. Okay. What are some of the themes you want to see more or less of in books? I actually want to see more voices which are uncensored. I want to see what people are actually think, or are afraid to kind of say, because I think those are kind of comforting when you actually realise that other people kind of have those, I don't know, like naughtier or darker thoughts where you kind of almost feel relieved, and it's like, oh, it's not so like bad or shameful to think like that, because it's more honest and truthful. And I know some people think that's about like shock value, but I think it's actually enables people to have more honest conversations. I don't know if part of it's about like some sort of English aptitude, but you're just kind of like, I don't know, I feel quite careful sometimes, and when you are in those first person narratives and they're really revealing parts of the way they think and feel on their inside, I find that the most kind of satisfying. So like more stories to have more of those things. I guess the thing that I'd have less of is where they're trying to present some sort of idealised version of a truth. Those type of narratives which are kind of like, I don't know, like the really, really good guys versus the really, really bad guys, where there's no kind of grey parts. I think those stories just don't make sense anymore. Like that people don't believe in those stories anymore. And I think the new emerging contemporary stories where characters are more complex are much more interesting. What are some of your BookTube goals? When I kicked off this channel, one thing that I really wanted to do was create more exposure around queer fiction, and I feel like I'm incrementally building that up. I'm learning a lot more through this journey too. I'm being opened up to so many more LGBT narratives, different types of LGBT character as well, and the whole kind of spectrum of what it means to be someone on the queer spectrum, which has really like just widened my view in terms of the whole world, which is quite nice. What advice would you give to a booktuber that has just created their channel? Don't panic. A big thing which I think I did at the start was kind of having a fear of the algorithm, because I was told that like you need to be really consistent about uploading on time, and I think those type of things are really important, but also like not to like kick yourself or beat yourself up if you're not doing those things. Like I got to the point where I was getting one of those stress eyes where you like you get a little twitch, and that's not healthy, that's not good. So I was just like, just forget it, just chill out. It'll be there when it's there. I don't think that many people, particularly right now, care when it goes up, and they're just pleased when it does. As long as you just don't fall off the edge of a cliff and never come back without telling anyone, I think that's fine. If you choose that it's not for you, that's also fine. I'd say give it a go. You'll be surprised how welcoming the space is and how positive people are. You will be stumbling and stuttering at the start, but you can edit that, which is all you need to do, and that stuff will take time. Plan yourself out, because planning just helps you keep on top of things, just in terms of what you want to do and when you're actually going to have time to do that. Life gets in the way. I'd love to be doing this all the time, but it's just not possible. So when are you realistically going to be able to have the time? Another massive thing I do is in the description, make use of that. Like, I didn't realise by describing what you're talking about in your channel really helps beef up how it connects to other people through the search engines that people use. The descriptions that you write out are really important, so make sure you do that. Make sure you actually use tagging as well, because all of those things contribute. And also, if you do have time, do caption editing, because about 5% of the people on my channel are international, and some of them won't be speaking English as a first language, so it really helps them. Also, you don't know if people are accessing this stuff if they're deaf or are hard of hearing, so just actually helping them by having that description of what you're saying means that more people can enjoy watching your footage. So for me, that it feels really valuable to do that. I'm not always able to do it just because of the amount of time that it takes, but I do feel like it's really valuable to do that for me personally. What are some qualities or traits that you look for when it comes to watching other booktubers? I just I enjoy honesty. I enjoy it when people, like, if you've hated it, tell me why you've hated it and what was up with it, because that stuff's hilarious. And if you're having a good time and you show that you're having a good time, what I don't like is when people whine. I've actually unsubscribed from a couple of people just because they've been hating on other booktubers or whining about why stuff's happening that just doesn't seem relevant to the channel, what they're generating. It's like, rant at someone else, someone close to you. Like, sort yourself out, have a word with yourself, and get on with just making brilliant content. What is a fun fact about you or a hobby besides reading and writing that people on BookTube might not know that you have? Very occasionally. I've been massively bad at the moment, but I do enjoy a bit of water polo. Like, it's just something that I occasionally manage to do. I mainly do it with a friend who's massively consistent, does it twice a week, and I'm like, girl, if I can get my ass off the couch and into the pool once a week, I'm doing really, really well, which I have not been doing for a while, but I love doing it. And which booktubers do you tag? I tag everyone, but people who I'm particularly interested to hear from, I think it would be really cool to hear from Russell from Ink and Paper blog, because I really enjoy his stuff, but also I think he's at a stage in his booktuberness that I'd be really interested into his insights. I also tag Simon Savage because I have seen other people tag him, and I think people are curious to see what he would say and do. But I also really like Chris Vigilante's channel. His stuff's cool, and I'd just be really interested to see how it responds. And Adriana from Perpetual Pages, because her stuff kicks ass. But if I'm sure there's other people which I've not said. Precious Helen, she's also really great. I think she's really, really cool. She's one of those really honest, brutally honest booktubers, and I think her channel is great, and I would be interested to see how she responds to this as well. And that's probably enough. Anyway, it took me ages to set this thing up. It's actually on a bench. I'll show you. It's on a bench here, leaning against my suitcase. So, but I will see you again soon. Okay, bye.